Have you ever watched your trading account evaporate before your eyes, wondering where you went wrong when you were so certain you were right? What if I told you that one of the greatest market operators in history lost everything multiple times, only to rebuild his fortune using principles so fundamental they still work a century later? This isn't a story about luck or special connections. This is about Richard Wyckoff's journey. From devastation to domination using nothing but volume and price action, the only two things that never lie in the market. Has this ever happened to you? You spot what looks like a perfect setup. The stock is obviously overextended. Your analysis is bulletproof. So you take the position only to watch in horror as the market moves relentlessly against you. Your perfect analysis crumbles as your account balance dwindles. Wyckoff lived this nightmare too, and what he discovered changed. Everything. The market is never wrong, you are. These 7 words cost Wyckoff millions before he finally accepted their truth. There is no bull side or bear side, only the right side. The market doesn't know your name, doesn't care about your theories, and will never be persuaded by your logic. When Wyckoff tried to predict rather than follow, the market punished him severely. Stay with me until the end, because what you're about to discover might surprise you. These aren't just trading principles, they're survival tactics in a financial battlefield where 90% of participants lose everything. Wyckoff abandoned prediction for observation. In his early career, he lost heavily betting against strong trends because he thought they'd gone too far. The lesson burned into his memory. The market doesn't punish you because it's cruel. It punishes you because you refuse to listen. Your opinion doesn't move markets. Your money does. And if your money is on the wrong side, you're finished. What separated Wyckoff from the masses wasn't his intelligence or resources. It was his humility in the face of market forces and his unwavering commitment to following what price and volume told him, not what his ego wanted to believe. While others battled the market, he surrendered to its messages and let the tape guide his decisions. Think about it. How many times have you fought against an obvious trend because you were convinced it had to reverse? How many trades have you forced because you needed action rather than waiting for genuine opportunity? The path Wyckoff discovered isn't complicated, but it demands something few traders ever develop: the discipline to follow the market's lead without letting ego interfere. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Now, let me take you back to the darkest moment in Wyckoff's career, when he stood at zero with nothing but hard-earned wisdom and a determination to rebuild using only what the market itself would show him. After losing everything, Wyckoff made a profound discovery that would transform his trading journey forever. It never was my thinking that made the big money for me. It always was my sitting. This revelation cuts against everything most traders believe about market success. While everyone else was hunting for bargains, obsessing over fundamentals, or trying to outsmart the market, Wyckoff simply followed strength and avoided weakness. The hidden truth that changed his mindset was deceptively simple: buy what's going up, sell what's going down. He didn't buy stocks because they were cheap or because he liked the company. He bought them because they were moving up with volume. This principle sounds almost too basic to be powerful, yet most traders do exactly the opposite. They hunt for value, looking for stocks that have fallen, convinced they're getting a bargain. But Wyckoff saw through this illusion. Cheap stocks are cheap for a reason, because nobody wants them. The market isn't a discount store, it's a voting machine that reveals collective decisions. When a stock rises with increasing volume, that's not random noise. It's a signal that smart money is moving in. The trend becomes your ally, offering protection and profit until the moment you decide you're smarter than it. Then it becomes your executioner. This shift in perspective doesn't just improve results, it completely alters your relationship with the market. Instead of fighting against forces you can't control, you align with them. The psychological impact is profound. Trading becomes less about ego and more about observation. But Wyckoff took this principle even further. He understood that hope is not a strategy, confirmation is. Unlike most traders who jump in because they feel it's the right time, Wyckoff practiced extreme patience. He would watch for hours, sometimes days, before committing a single dollar. He waited for what he called pivotal points, those rare moments when price action confirms a genuine shift in market character. Imagine the discipline required to sit quietly while others rush in and out of positions. Wyckoff studied the tape, watching for specific signals that most traders miss in their hurry. When price finally broke through resistance with increasing volume, that was his green light. He never guessed. He positioned based on what the market showed him, not what he hoped it would do. This waiting game represents perhaps the greatest challenge in trading, the battle against our own impatience. In a world obsessed with instant gratification, Wyckoff's approach demands something rare: the courage to do nothing until conditions are perfect. This isn't just a trading strategy, it's a life philosophy about making decisions only when the evidence supports them, not when emotions demand action. Now, I want to go even deeper into how Wyckoff managed his positions once he entered them, because this is where most traders sabotage their own success. Even with perfect entries, without proper position management, the market will eventually take back everything it gives you. If Wyckoff's approach resonates with your trading experience, write in the comments. Patience pays more than prediction. Position management was where Wyckoff's true genius emerged. While most traders obsess over entries, he understood that position sizing isn't just about risk management. It's a complete strategy that can dramatically shift the odds in your favor. This revelation transformed his approach to the market entirely. Instead of the all-or-nothing mentality that destroys most traders, Wyckoff developed a progressive approach. He would start with a fraction of his intended position, perhaps just 25% or 30%, and then wait. This initial stake was small enough that being wrong wouldn't hurt much, but large enough to matter if he was right. The psychological impact of this approach can't be overstated. It removed the paralysis that comes from fearing a large commitment. What happened next was pure brilliance. If the position moved against him, he'd do nothing or reduce exposure. But if the market confirmed his direction, he would add to the position incrementally. Think about what this means in practice. The market itself was paying him to take on more risk. Each addition came from a position of increasing strength, not desperate hope. Imagine starting with 1,000 shares. The stock advances, confirming your thesis. Now you add another 1,000. The trend continues, so you add a final 1,000. By the time you're fully invested, the position is already profitable. Your average cost is higher than your initial entry, but the probability of success has increased dramatically. This isn't just position sizing. It's strategic scaling that aligns with market reality. But Wyckoff's most valuable insight may have been about exits. As he famously observed, anyone can enter a trade, but only the disciplined know when to exit. This truth resonates deeply with anyone who's watched profits evaporate because they didn't know when to leave the party. In 1907, during one of history's greatest crashes, Wyckoff made his first fortune. Not because he predicted the exact top, but because he recognized when the character of the market had changed. While others held and hoped, watching their gains transform into devastating losses, he had already exited most of his positions. The warning signs were there for anyone willing to see them. Shifting price action, declining volume, weakening momentum. The profound truth that escapes most traders is this: You don't make money when you enter a position. You make money when you exit. The best entry in the world means nothing if you can't protect and capture the profit it creates. Yet most trading education focuses almost exclusively on entries, leaving the critical skill of exiting to chance or emotion. Behind every successful trade is not just a good entry, but a timely exit. Wyckoff never married his positions. He never let hope replace discipline. When the market signaled it was done, he believed it, even if that meant leaving potential profits on the table. This detachment from outcomes allowed him to preserve capital when others were being wiped out, giving him the resources to capitalize when genuine opportunities appeared. The journey from amateur to professional trader requires this evolution in thinking, from entry-focused to exit mastery. But mastering exits requires something deeper, the ability to trust what the market is telling you, even when it contradicts what you want to hear. If you've ever struggled with exiting positions, either too early or too late, comment below. Exit mastery is my next frontier. This journey of mastery forced Wyckoff to confront one of the most challenging revelations in trading. The worst losses of his career didn't come from bad market conditions or unlucky timing. They came from listening to other people, brokers, friends, newspapers, instead of trusting what the market itself was showing him. This insight cut through the noise and transformed his decision-making process forever. "The tape doesn't lie," became his mantra. While opinions fluctuate and predictions fail, price action and volume tell the unvarnished truth about market reality. The tape doesn't care about rumors, narratives, or expert forecasts. It simply reveals what is: direction, momentum, supply, demand, the fundamental forces driving all market movement. Consider the liberation in this mindset shift. Instead of drowning in the sea of conflicting opinions that bombard traders daily, Wyckoff learned to filter out everything except what mattered. The illumination came after a particularly devastating loss, when he ignored clear warning signs in the tape because someone he respected gave him inside information. That expensive lesson taught him that the market's voice speaks louder than any expert. From that point forward, he developed an almost spiritual connection with price action. When everyone was shouting their predictions, Wyckoff remained silent, watching the story unfold in the only place it mattered, on the chart itself. This disciplined focus became his edge in a profession where most are perpetually distracted by noise. But trusting the tape required something even more fundamental: removing emotion from the equation entirely. Wyckoff articulated this challenge perfectly. A man must believe in himself and his judgment if he expects to make a living at this game, but he must also act without emotion. This paradox, maintaining confidence while eliminating emotional decision-making, represents perhaps the ultimate psychological achievement in trading. Think about it. When we trade, we're not just battling market uncertainty. We're fighting an internal war against our own psychological tendencies. Fear, greed, hope, regret. These emotions aren't just distractions. They're active saboteurs of rational decision-making. Wyckoff recognized that even the perfect system would fail in the hands of an emotional trader. The breakthrough came when he built a framework of habits, rituals, and rules that he followed regardless of how he felt. When a position hit his predetermined stop, he exited, period. When his system generated a signal, he entered without hesitation. These weren't just trading rules, they were psychological guardrails protecting him from himself. This emotional detachment didn't happen overnight. It required constant self-observation and adjustment. Wyckoff studied his own behavior as meticulously as he studied the market, recognizing that his internal state was just as important to his results as external conditions. He kept detailed records not just of his trades, but of his thoughts and feelings during each decision, creating a feedback loop that gradually refined his psychology. The transformation this created went beyond trading. It affected his entire relationship with uncertainty and risk. By separating analysis from emotion, he developed a clarity few traders ever achieve. And here's what many miss. Emotional discipline isn't about becoming emotionless. It's about preventing emotions from hijacking decisions. If you've experienced how emotions can sabotage even the best trading plan, write in the comments. The battle is within. With emotional discipline established, Wyckoff discovered what might be the most counterintuitive secret in all of trading: the power of doing nothing. In a profession obsessed with action, where most believe activity equals progress, Wyckoff realized that the real money isn't made in the trading, it's made in the waiting. This revelation transformed his entire approach. After entering a well-confirmed position with clearly defined parameters, Wyckoff would simply sit and let the market work for him. He didn't tinker with the position, didn't take small profits at the first sign of success, didn't try to outsmart the natural flow of price action. He just waited. This patience created some of his biggest wins, allowing trends to develop fully rather than cutting them short with premature action. Subscribe now to join our community of serious traders who understand that real success comes from discipline, not luck. Every video I create is designed to give you another piece of the market mastery puzzle. Think about the profound mindset shift this represents. Most traders constantly sabotage their own success through overmanagement, adjusting stops too tight, taking profits too early, second-guessing their analysis at the first sign of drawdown. Behind this hyperactivity lies insecurity, the need to feel in control. Yet paradoxically, by surrendering to the market's rhythm rather than imposing their will, traders actually gain more control over outcomes. As Wyckoff famously noted, "It never was my thinking that made the big money for me, it was my sitting." This insight isn't just about trading technique. It's a life philosophy about the courage to let things unfold naturally once you've positioned yourself correctly. In an age of constant distraction and intervention, the ability to do nothing might be the rarest skill of all. But even with perfect patience and discipline, losses remain inevitable in trading. What separated Wyckoff from the crowd wasn't that he avoided losses, it was how he responded to them. When most traders lose money, they immediately look outward, blaming the market, manipulation, bad luck, or anything else that protects their ego. Wyckoff took the opposite approach. When he lost money, he recognized that it wasn't because the market betrayed him, it was because he betrayed his own rules. This brutal self-honesty sparked a journey of continuous improvement that few traders ever experience. Rather than making excuses or blaming external factors, he analyzed his mistakes with surgical precision, identifying exactly where his judgment or discipline had faltered. Each loss became tuition in the school of market wisdom. He documented his errors, studied them, and rebuilt his approach with ever sharper edges and fewer illusions. This transformative practice created a feedback loop that accelerated his development as a trader. The hidden truth here is profound. If you don't extract the lesson from each loss, you've paid the tuition for nothing. What makes this approach so rare is that it requires traders to confront their own fallibility, something the ego fiercely resists. Yet this very confrontation is what separates the professionals from the perpetual amateurs. Professionals know they'll be wrong often. They just ensure they're wrong small and right big. The journey from loss to learning represents the ultimate alchemy in trading, transforming financial setbacks into invaluable wisdom that can't be acquired any other way. If you found yourself making the same trading mistakes repeatedly, write in the comments, "My losses are now my lessons." All these lessons eventually crystallized into perhaps Wyckoff's most profound insight. Success in trading doesn't come from gut feelings, instincts, or market intuition. it comes from structure. This revelation marked his complete evolution from gambler to professional operator. Where others relied on luck or intuition, Wyckoff built a comprehensive framework that governed every aspect of his market engagement. This system wasn't just a collection of tactics, it was an integrated architecture with specific rules for entries, exits, position sizing, and handling losses. Each component reinforced the others, creating a robust approach that could withstand market volatility and his own psychological weaknesses. The blueprint he developed wasn't about predicting market moves. It was about responding systematically to what the market revealed through price and volume. The deeper wisdom here extends beyond trading. In any domain involving uncertainty, systematic thinking outperforms reactive decision-making. Wyckoff didn't chase the illusion of perfect setups or magical indicators. Instead, he pursued something far more valuable: consistency. He understood that trading success isn't about being brilliant, it's about being repeatable. Not about being right every time, but about managing the inevitable times you're wrong. This systematic approach created a profound psychological advantage. By removing discretion from moment-to-moment decisions, Wyckoff freed himself from the crippling effects of fear and greed. The system made the decisions, not his emotions. When conditions met his criteria, he acted without hesitation, without second-guessing. This methodical discipline became his defining edge in a profession where most remain perpetually reactive. At the heart of Wyckoff's system lay his most distinctive insight: the crucial role of volume as the secret language of the market. While most traders fixated solely on price, Wyckoff recognized that volume reveals market intent before price confirms it. This revelation illuminated market behavior in ways few had ever understood. He observed that volume often preceded price movement, acting as an early warning system for significant shifts. Increased volume on breakouts confirmed genuine strength. Declining volume during rallies signaled potential weakness. By analyzing the relationship between price movement and the volume driving it, Wyckoff gained the ability to see market intentions before they fully manifested, allowing him to position ahead of major moves rather than chasing them. Think about what this means in practical terms. While most traders were reacting to price changes after they occurred, Wyckoff was anticipating those changes by reading volume signatures. It was like having access to the market's internal dialogue, hearing what it planned to do before it actually did it. This perspective shift gave him an almost uncanny ability to enter positions early in emerging trends and exit before reversals fully developed. The mastery of volume analysis requires deep observation and pattern recognition, skills that develop only through immersion and deliberate practice. Wyckoff spent thousands of hours studying the interplay between price and volume across different market conditions, gradually developing an intuitive feel for what various volume patterns signified about institutional behavior and likely future price action. If you've started paying more attention to volume in your own trading, comment below. Volume speaks before price moves. By mastering volume analysis, Wyckoff unlocked another dimension of market understanding: the recognition of market cycles. This revelation transformed how he navigated financial markets, revealing a natural rhythm that most traders never perceive. Markets don't move randomly. They flow through distinct phases of accumulation, markup, distribution, and markdown. This cyclical pattern repeats across all time frames, creating a hidden architecture beneath seemingly chaotic price movements. The true genius of Wyckoff's approach was his ability to identify which phase the market was in and align his strategy accordingly. During accumulation phases, when smart money quietly absorbs shares at lower prices, Wyckoff would begin building positions, often before any clear uptrend was visible to average traders. When markets entered markup phases, he would ride the trend with full conviction. But perhaps most importantly, when distribution patterns emerged, those subtle signs that institutional investors were unloading positions, he would begin reducing exposure while others remained oblivious to the changing tide. This alignment with natural market rhythms created an extraordinary advantage. When inevitable corrections arrived, Wyckoff had already lightened his positions or moved to cash entirely. While others faced devastating losses during markdown phases, he preserved capital, positioning himself to re-enter during the next accumulation phase when prices returned to attractive levels. This cyclical awareness didn't just improve his returns, it fundamentally changed his relationship with market risk. Think about how liberating this perspective is. Instead of being perpetually surprised by market turns, Wyckoff anticipated them by recognizing the footprints of professional operators within price and volume patterns. He wasn't predicting the future, he was reading the present more accurately than most, allowing him to position for what typically happened next in the cycle. This cyclical awareness led Wyckoff to another breakthrough insight. Not all stocks move with the broader market. By developing techniques to identify relative strength and weakness, he discovered opportunities that most traders completely overlooked. Stocks showing unusual strength during market declines often became the strongest performers during the next advance. Conversely, stocks displaying weakness during market rallies frequently led the next decline. These divergences, when a stock's behavior differs significantly from the broader market, offered powerful clues about future price movement. Wyckoff meticulously tracked these relationships, creating his own versions of relative strength metrics long before such tools became commonplace. This comparative approach revealed hidden patterns that simply weren't visible when looking at stocks in isolation. The evolutionary leap in perception this created was remarkable. Rather than viewing the market as thousands of independent stocks, Wyckoff saw an interconnected ecosystem where relative performance revealed institutional interest and disinterest. When a stock refused to decline during market weakness, it wasn't random. It signaled accumulation by informed operators. When it lagged during market strength, it exposed distribution that would likely accelerate during the next decline. By focusing on these divergences, Wyckoff identified opportunities with significantly higher probability of success. He wasn't just trading stocks, he was trading institutional behavior patterns, positioning alongside the smart money rather than against it. If you've noticed how certain stocks resist market declines while others seem to fall harder than the rest, drop in the comments, "I see the divergence now." Through his meticulous study of market behavior, Wyckoff made another discovery that transformed his trading forever. Each market has its own distinct character, a unique fingerprint of behavior patterns, volatility profiles, and responses to news events. This insight elevated his analysis beyond generic technical patterns to a deeper understanding of market psychology. Just as you might recognize a friend's personality traits, Wyckoff learned to identify the character signatures of different markets. Some moved with violent swings and rapid reversals, others trended smoothly with minimal pullbacks. Some reacted dramatically to news, others barely acknowledged major announcements. These weren't random behaviors, but consistent personality traits that repeated over time. The revelation here was profound. What worked perfectly in one market environment could fail completely in another. A strategy optimized for a trending market would bleed capital during a choppy, range-bound period. Techniques effective during low volatility would collapse during high volatility. By becoming a student of market character, Wyckoff developed an adaptive approach that could shift with changing conditions rather than fighting against them. This contextual awareness represented a quantum leap beyond rigid systems that apply the same tactics regardless of market behavior. Wyckoff watched for signs of character shifts, changes in volatility, volume patterns, or reaction to news, and adjusted his approach accordingly. This flexibility preserved his capital during difficult periods when others were being crushed by strategies unsuited to current conditions. Behind the scenes, this character reading required deep immersion and pattern recognition that few traders ever develop. Wyckoff spent thousands of hours observing market behavior across different conditions, gradually building an intuitive feel for the subtle shifts that signaled changing environments. This wasn't just chart reading, it was psychological profiling on a market-wide scale. But through all his methodology and technical mastery, Wyckoff discovered that the ultimate edge, the one factor that determined whether a trader survived long-term, wasn't analytical skill or market knowledge. It was discipline. This revelation came at great personal cost. After losing everything multiple times, he realized that each catastrophic loss hadn't come from market conditions or poor analysis. It had come from abandoning his own rules in moments of fear, greed, or pride. The journey from zero to success taught him that trading isn't about brilliant predictions or lucky guesses. It's about building a structured approach and following it with unwavering discipline, regardless of emotions or circumstances. You don't need luck, he concluded after decades in the market. You need control. You need rules. This disciplined mindset produced a remarkable transformation. Instead of seeking the thrill of being right, Wyckoff focused on the consistency of following his system. Instead of responding emotionally to market moves, he responded systematically. This shift from reactive to structured trading didn't just improve his results, it fundamentally changed his identity as a market participant. What makes Wyckoff's approach so powerful isn't just its effectiveness, but its durability. Centuries later, these principles still work because they address the unchanging fundamentals of markets and human psychology. While technology and information flows have transformed, the basic patterns of fear, greed, accumulation, and distribution remain remarkably constant. If discipline has been your greatest challenge in trading, type in the comments, "Structure trumps prediction." Wyckoff's journey from devastation to mastery teaches us something profound about markets and about ourselves. The principles he discovered through decades of triumph and failure aren't just trading techniques. They're a blueprint for approaching uncertainty with clarity and discipline. What makes them so powerful is that they've withstood the ultimate test, time. If you've stayed with me through this exploration, you've demonstrated the same rare quality that separated Wyckoff from the masses: patience. The kind of patience that recognizes true value isn't found in shortcuts, but in deep understanding. And that's exactly the approach I take with every video on this channel, diving beneath the surface to uncover the principles that actually work, not just what sounds good. This kind of in-depth analysis is what I deliver with each new video. If you found value in seeing how a master trader rebuilt from nothing using only volume and price action, consider subscribing. I promise to continue bringing you content that cuts through the noise and focuses on what truly matters in developing market mastery. If Wyckoff's story resonated with you, if you recognized yourself in any of his struggles or breakthroughs, leave a comment saying, "Price and volume never lie." It's a simple reminder of the foundation upon which all sustainable trading success is built. And if this journey through Wyckoff's principles provided value, that like button is a small way to help others discover these timeless insights. Right over there is a video about how to read institutional footprints in the market, a perfect companion to what we've covered here. It builds directly on Wyckoff's approach to volume analysis and will show you exactly how to spot smart money at work. Click through when you're ready to continue this journey into market mastery. Remember, in markets and in life, it's not about predicting, it's about positioning. And you've just positioned yourself one step closer to genuine understanding.